What up, people? Push it while black here with Push it while black sports. I'm gonna knock this vlog out real quick before I gotta run errands. The Western Conference second round starts today, so I figured since the Western Conference side is set, I'm gonna knock out predictions for the second round. I was very surprised by the Pelicans and their dismantling of the Blazers. I did not see that coming at all. Anthony Davis played awesome, and they were able to defend very, very well. I still don't think that that's enough to beat the Warriors, though. And if you're the Blazers, what are you going to do? Because that was ridiculous. It'll be interesting to see how the Pelicans defend the Warriors, though, as far as the shooting. And it'll be interesting to see how the Warriors react to their defense, because their defense was surprisingly good. How they were able to trap and how they were able to bracket Damian Lillard and C.J. McCollum. But I still think the Warriors will end up winning in 6 games, though. And with the Rockets and the Jazz, even though I did pick the Jazz for the upset just because I didn't know what OKC was going to do consistently, and they proved me right because they were consistently inconsistent. Russ played awesome in some games. Paul George played awesome in some games. But where'd Carl Anthony go? Carl Anthony was missing. Where'd he go? So, yeah, man. Like, I thought the Jazz was going to win, even though the Thunder put up a good fight. And I thought the Rockets were going to win against the Wolves. The Wolves with Jimmy Butler. The Wolves with Jimmy Butler being hurt and coming back when he did. They barely made the playoffs. And I don't know if the Wolves I had them 5th in the conference at the beginning of the season. I think with minus injuries, they still probably would have been 5th or 6th. But with the Rockets, there was too much firepower. And they couldn't withstand the firepower of the Rockets. So I think even though it'll be a more exciting series against the Jazz, I think the Rockets will still beat the Jazz in the series in 6 games. So my matchup for the conference finals is the Warriors and the Rockets. And that's when it becomes real interesting because the talent level and their style of play are very similar. So it'll be interesting to see, 1, how is that defended, and 2, who's going to outscore each other. Because there's going to be nights in that series where where it doesn't really matter about defense. It's just going to be who's going to outscore who. Couple things with the East, because there's Game 7s today and tomorrow. I have mixed feelings about the Bucks. Like, I love the Bucks. I love their positionless basketball, even though Philly's doing it better. The thought of Jason Kidd getting fired was supposedly going to make them better. The Bucks, like I said in my vlog in the beginning of the season, the Bucks have the talent to be the 3rd best team in the Eastern Conference. But for some reason, they just don't put it together, and they always end up being on the other side of the conference. And by them being 7th, by them really not trying to be 7th, like they weren't really trying to get. They were trying to avoid LeBron, so they get the Celtics. This idea that just because Giannis is there, that they're supposed to beat the Celtics, even though the Celtics at times are inconsistent. I did not expect the Bucks to push it to a Game 7. I thought they was going to get knocked out, because even though Kyrie Irving isn't playing with the Celtics in the playoffs and is out for the rest of the season, the Celtics are still better. But then in this series, it's been inconsistency everywhere on both sides. So I don't really know who's gonna materialize because I don't know who's gonna be consistent or not. Now, home court advantage is this is where home court advantage is important because your role players and your young players, they'll feed off the crowd, and then they'll feed off the crowd, and then somebody will have an amazing game, and then the Celtics will probably win. That's why I'm picking the Celtics, as I did it a couple weeks ago, to win this series. But then again, I don't know what the Bucks are going to do. So, but I don't think it'll be an upset if the Celtics win. Like people were saying, it's going to be an upset if the Celtics win, and the Celtics got home court advantage, just because on paper the Bucks are there because of Giannis and Thon Maker, and it's like, well, Giannis is inconsistent, everybody else is inconsistent. Who's going to show up? So yeah, so the Celtics are gonna. I think the Celtics are gonna win today, and as far as tomorrow with Cleveland and the Pacers, I'm mad at the Pacers because the Pacers should have wrapped this up games ago. This should have been over. Um, LeBron having to be a superhero. Like I want to say this one thing. Cleveland got younger with all those trades. The reason that they traded everybody, they they they, they bought out Wade. Wade went back to Miami. They traded Rose. They traded they traded Rose, and they traded Isaiah Thomas. They got younger with that squad. So everybody pretty except for the Raptors, because the Raptors are young, but the Raptors got a bunch of veterans, and their bench is really good. So their bench is like real good. Like C.J. Miles and that bench can outplay some starting lineups in the NBA. So that bench is nuts. The Cavs got younger. The Cavs not necessarily got better, but they got younger, so they can run. The idea that they can't run with the Pacers, when really, it's in some cases it can be the same team. In some cases, like the engine of the Pacers is Victor Oladipo. Now, does he have better young talent around him? You can make that argument, but like Jordan Clarkson ain't a bum. Larry Nance is athletic. The idea that like the Cavs got a bunch of bums around them, they got a bunch of young players around them. You should be able to run with the Pacers. And to be quite honest, if the Cavs win tomorrow, the Raptors are going to eat them alive. If this is how you're going to show up against the Pacers, where you get blown out by 30 yesterday, then even if you win Sunday, you're going to get killed by the Raptors. That team they're basically running similar sets as the Warriors. Their bench is better than yours because you don't have a bench. You're going to get killed in the second round. If this is how you're going to show up against the Pacers, LeBron James doesn't like to score 30 points a night. And you're going to make him, and what he's going to end up having to do against the Raptors is dominate like that. Because there's no way the Cavs offensively can match up with the Raptors and win that series unless LeBron James becomes a superhero, which sometimes he doesn't like to do. But Indy should wrap this series up games ago. This series should have been done in 5, maybe 6, but the refs didn't call a goaltending thing, and it has to be a game 7. I think, thinking with my head, the Cavs will end up winning that game just because of home court advantage, kind of like the Celtics. But I can't say that because you got blown out at home, Cleveland, against the Pacers early in the series when you were in Cleveland. So it's a toss-up, man. Like, I actually want to see the Pacers win this series for 2 reasons. One, selfishly, so I can do a LeBron legacy video. But 2, it'll be a better matchup against the Raptors if the Pacers win, just because they have the firepower to at least give the Raptors a series. If this is what you're gonna do against the Pacers, I don't trust Cleveland to be competitive against the Raptors. And I never thought I'd say that because I don't trust the Raptors like that. But with how Cleveland is showing themselves to be, I gotta pick the Raptors if they end up winning, if they end up getting past the Pacers. Like, and I wouldn't be surprised if it's ugly, like 5 games ugly. And whoever comes out of the Celtics and the Bucks, I don't know, because if it's the Bucks, then everybody's running, everybody's jumping over everything. There's athleticism, there's positionless basketball on both sides, and it'll be a very interesting series because everybody's big and young and athletic. I don't really know because it basically goes down to who's your better number one guy. Is it Giannis or is it Ben Simmons? I think if it's the Bucks and the Sixers, I think the Sixers will be in the Eastern Conference Finals in 7 games. Like that one, I can actually like see it going 7 games. And if it's the Celtics, Sixers, I think if it's the Celtics, man, the Sixers are probably gonna beat the Celtics in 6. But not to say that the Celtics are bad because Jaylen Brown and I can't think of the other dude's name. Can't think of the other guy's name. The rookie, Tatum. There we go. Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Uh, That's still gonna be a good matchup. I just think the Sixers, talent wise, is better. But yeah, man, like that's basically my thoughts on this. But I really want the Pacers to win, and I'm not like a LeBron hater or anything, because believe me, I'm not. I will defend LeBron, and I will defend his decisions to do whatever he wants to do. He's a grown man. He's changing the NBA. He's basically treating the NBA, being a basketball player, like you should treat any job. It's a job, and you should be able to move around. If you're not happy, if there's more money, if there's a better work environment, you should be able to move around. And the fact that he's literally breaking the NBA, the old school NBA and the old school way of doing things, that's commendable. That being said, if you lose to the Pacers, we got to rethink your legacy. And the people that want to pump up his legacy by in the same breath tear down Jordan's legacy, and I'll get into that at some point because that would require a lot of work to do a legacy video for him. It's aggravating. So if he loses today, to me it was his legacy was chipped anyway, just because of how Cleveland showed themselves. And if they lose Sunday, then we can't have the discussion about him being the greatest ever. We can't, because if you're comparing, if you're matching him up with Jordan, it seems like a lame argument, but Jordan didn't do that. So, not when you're 15 years in and you've won championships and you're regarded as the greatest ever. Jordan didn't do that, and we don't count the Wizards. And okay, let's count the Wizards. Jordan was in his 40s, and remember now, the last season that he played for the Wizards was the first season, because he played 2 seasons. The first season, everybody was getting to know each other, and they were 11th. I think the second season, they were challenging for the playoffs, and that team was bad. So they think they finished 10th and 11th in the conference. I think his last season with the Wizards, they were challenging for an Eastern Conference playoff spot. They were almost there. So a 40-year-old Jordan who played with a bunch of bums almost took the Wizards to the playoffs. And LeBron James, and they specifically got younger to run with the youth of the Eastern Conference. You couldn't run with the Pacers, that's a surprise team. And if you lose 15 years in at the tail end of your prime, Jordan didn't do that. And if you lose, we got to rethink your legacy because you did that. Because it's going to be put on you anyway as the leader and as the greatest player ever. So, anyway, that's my vlog. Push the Ball Black out. I will probably do a NFL one probably Sunday or something, just when the draft gets completely done. Anyway, Push the Ball Black out. Later.